Good evening, or maybe it's morning where you are. My name is Specialist Andrew Cole, formerly of the 354th Fighter Wing based at Eielson Air Force Base in Interior, Alaska. If you're tuning in, you're hearing an open emergency broadcast I'm patching through on multiple bands, HF, VHF, shortwave, and even the old FM frequency at 101.1 if you're nearby. The equipment I'm using is a mix of military surplus and a portable antenna system I salvaged before the base went dark. If you can hear me, I need you to know, you are not alone. Despite everything that has happened, there are still survivors out here. A virus, an infection, or whatever we want to call it, spread across the world at terrifying speed. People refer to the infected as the reanimated, the undead, or any number of improvised names. The important part is, they don't behave like normal humans. They're extremely dangerous. The infection effectively collapsed global infrastructure in a matter of weeks. We lost our major satellite networks exactly 1 week ago. That means no official communication, no internet, no easy way to coordinate. Government centers stopped responding. Military outposts fell silent. The entire chain of command simply melted away. I'll be broadcasting as often as I can with news, warnings, and personal logs. If you can transmit back, please do. Any band you can. I'll have my receivers scanning. If you can't, just keep listening. Sometimes a friendly voice is all we have left. Hello again. It's day one of what I'm calling the final week since the satellites went down. Time is 6:35 local, though I'm guessing on that. My watch stopped a couple of days ago and I'm using an old battery-powered clock that seems to be running fast by a few minutes every day. I'm currently located near the Richardson Highway about 30 miles south of Fairbanks, camping out in a battered communications trailer that used to be part of a mobile command center. It's got a small diesel generator and solar panels on top. That's how I'm powering my gear. The trailer belonged to the Air Force before we had to evacuate Eielson. Don't get the wrong idea. It's not some high-end facility. It's cramped, half-frozen, and I have minimal rations. But I'll make do. Local situation. I scouted a short distance last night and saw a few wandering infected near the highway ramps. They appear slow in the cold, but they're still out there. Travel with caution if you're in the area. No word from any official channels. The last I heard was an automated message from Fort Wainwright telling folks to head for designated safe zones in Anchorage, but Anchorage is likely compromised. If you have inside info or contradictory news, please share. That's all for now. I'll be on again in a few hours if the generator holds. Stay safe. Time is about 12:10 locale. The sun's up, though it's low on the horizon. These Alaskan winter days are short. I just had a near miss. A pair of infected stumbled close to the trailer. I watched them from a distance. They were moving slowly, as though disoriented by the cold. I hid behind a rusted snowplow. They eventually wandered off, but it's a stark reminder. Even in a remote place like this, they can appear at any time. Before the radio station at Eielson collapsed, I remember hearing all sorts of speculation from scientists. Some said it was a prion disease. Others said it was a mutated form of rabies. Honestly, the cause doesn't matter too much to me right now. We just know it spreads with frightening speed. One bite, one scratch, and that person inevitably becomes, well, you know. I keep scanning the local VHF channels. So far, no replies from any survivors in the Fairbanks or North Pole area. If you're out there, or if you're even within a 100-mile radius, try to reach me on channel 16 or 21. I'll rotate through them every hour. I should mention, I have a few weapons at my disposal. My old M4 carbine with about 180 rounds left, plus a Beretta M9 sidearm, and a personal hunting rifle I salvaged from a neighbor's cabin. Ammo is precious. If you have firearms, remember that careful shot placement counts more than raw firepower. I'll sign off now and try to scavenge for supplies later. If you're traveling, be mindful of ice on the roads. The cold is intense, and you don't want to crash or get stranded. Andrew Cole, out. It's 19:55 local time, and the sun set about an hour ago. Temperatures are dropping fast, possibly down to -5 Fahrenheit tonight. I managed to scavenge a bit, found some canned food and an old propane heater in a nearby utility shed. I'm going to see if I can rig it up in the trailer to conserve generator fuel. No transmissions answered my calls today. Honestly, it's disheartening. I keep telling myself maybe folks are too far away, or they don't have working gear. The alternative, that there's nobody left in this region, well, I'd rather not dwell on that. Let's talk practical safety tips for a moment. Travel in daylight if possible. The infected are dangerous at all times, but darkness makes everything harder. Keep warm. In these temperatures, hypothermia can be as lethal as any threat. If you get wet, do whatever it takes to dry off. Check vehicles for hidden passengers before you climb in, especially if the windows are iced or fogged. You don't want a surprise in the back seat. That's it for tonight. I'll power down soon to save energy. I'll keep my receiver scanning on shortwave in case somebody out there tries to contact me. Stay alive. Over and out. Time is 6:20. The night was eerily quiet. No howls, no gunshots, nothing but the wind. I don't know if that's good or bad. Sometimes an empty silence can be worse than noise. I did pick up a very faint shortwave transmission around 5 o'clock. It sounded like a voice speaking Russian or a dialect close to it. Could be someone across the Bering Strait, or it might just be a skip from further inland. If you're that Russian operator, I hear you. Barely. And I'm trying to respond. Keep transmitting if you can. Weather update from an old NOAA broadcast I caught last night. A cold front is moving in from the Arctic Ocean. Expect temperatures in the -10 to -20 Fahrenheit range by the weekend. That's lethal if you're not prepared. Stock up on firewood, fuel, or warm clothing. I'll keep watch today for any movement on the roads. If you're traveling on the Richardson Highway or anywhere near Delta Junction, please be careful. I heard rumors of blocked roads and overturned vehicles. I'll sign off now and do a quick perimeter check. Andrew Cole, out. It's around 12:45. This day's been slightly more eventful. I spotted 2 people on the highway about a mile from here. They carried backpacks and seemed to be looking for something, maybe fuel or salvageable supplies. I tried to wave them over from a distance, but they hurried off. Likely they're distrustful of strangers, which is totally understandable these days. If that was you 2 figures on foot, one wearing a dark parka, the other wearing something that looked like a camouflage jacket, I mean you no harm. I've got some fuel and extra food. Feel free to approach if you wish, or at least let me know by radio if you're listening. Let me share a bit about my gear for those curious. Radio setup. A combination of a Harris Falcon transceiver and a backup HF shortwave. Power solar panels on the trailer roof, plus a small diesel generator. I siphon diesel from abandoned trucks when I can, but that's risky and not always fruitful. Shelter. This trailer is made of insulated aluminum. It's not perfect, but it holds heat decently well, especially with a small propane heater. Speaking of heat, the sky's overcast. Could start snowing again tonight. Travel carefully. Andrew Cole, over and out. It's 21:10 local time. The temperature's dropping. I can feel it even through these insulated walls. I've shut down most electrical systems to conserve power, but I wanted to do one last check-in for the night. No major sightings of infected today, which might be a fluke. Maybe they migrated elsewhere, or maybe they're less active in severe cold. Hard to say without more data. I did try scanning for official channels from Fort Greely. That's a small Army launch facility and test site near Delta Junction. Not a peep. If that place was intact, they'd likely have strong communication equipment. So either they've gone dark, or they're broadcasting on an encrypted frequency I can't decode. On a more personal note, I keep thinking about my family. My parents moved to Arizona years ago. I lost contact with them soon after the main power grids failed. Arizona might be faring a bit better, at least in terms of weather, but I don't know. I try not to dwell too much on it, yet the mind wanders during these long nights. Anyway, that's the day's final bulletin. Keep your spirits high, keep your shelter secure. We'll make it through another night. This is Specialist Andrew Cole, signing off until morning. Morning, survivors. It's 5:50. The interior of this trailer is so cold that my breath fogs up the microphone. The generator struggled a bit overnight, probably due to freezing temperatures. I'll try to warm it up with a small portable heater in a bit. I have an update. A faint SOS call came in around 4:30 on a VHF channel. The caller claimed to be a nurse from Fairbanks Memorial Hospital holed up in a supply closet. The signal was weak. I couldn't establish two-way communication. If you're that nurse, and you somehow hear this, I'm here. I wish I could do more. I'll do a quick mention about first aid essentials. If you happen upon medical supplies, bandages, disinfectant, antibiotics, safeguard them. Infections, the regular kind, are still a major hazard, and if you suspect you're dealing with any bodily fluids from an infected individual, treat it like it's highly contagious. Protective gloves, or even makeshift plastic barriers could save your life. Time, 12:05. The sun is up, but the clouds are thick, so it's a dim, gray day. I took a short walk around the perimeter and noticed fresh footprints. Human, I think. Could be the same two folks I spotted yesterday. I left a small note pinned to a wooden post near the road, letting them know they're welcome to approach peacefully if they need help. No new transmissions answered my calls, but I'm hearing faint chatter in the 7 MHz shortwave band. Possibly folks in northern Canada, or even across the Bering Strait. The voices fade in and out, mentioning cold weather, supply shortages, and what might be references to inbound storms. Here's a tip for scrounging diesel in cold conditions. The fuel in some abandoned vehicles might be gelled if it's old or if the temperature is too low. You can add certain fuel additives if you find them at auto shops or truck stops to help. Alternatively, if you have a way to preheat the fuel tank, that can work too. Just be extremely careful with open flames near fuel. That's it for now. Next check-in will be after sundown. Keep going, folks. It's 1940 local. I just got back from a short, cautious supply run to a nearby way station on the highway. I found some food, mostly vending machine snacks, and more importantly, a CB radio with a better external antenna. I'll see if I can integrate it with my current setup for broader coverage. While I was out, I heard distant engine noises, maybe from a snowmobile or ATV. I tried to wave a flashlight but never saw anything. It's possible survivors are traveling off-road, maybe hunting or scouting for supplies. If you're out there on that snowmobile, I hope you're staying safe. Let's talk about mental health for a moment. I know this is a survival situation, but we can't ignore the psychological strain. Isolation, fear, uncertainty, it wears you down. If you can find ways to occupy your mind, read an old book, keep a journal, talk to yourself or to a recording, do it. Anything to stay grounded. I personally talk into this mic even when I'm not broadcasting, just to keep my thoughts organized. Signing off for tonight. I'll keep the receiver on for distress calls. Andrew Cole, out. Morning, everyone. It's 5:55. It's been 4 days since the final satellite signals vanished. The sense of isolation weighs heavier every morning, but we press on. I have to share something hopeful. Late last night, I got a shortwave broadcast from a logging camp in British Columbia, about 100 miles west of Quesnel, if I heard correctly. A man named Jeff Lee was on the air saying he's trying to form a small community of survivors. He mentioned they're short on medicine, but they have food and a sturdy shelter. If you're in that area, keep an ear out on 27.065 MHz, CB channel 9. He broadcasts around noon and midnight, their local time, presumably. To Jeff Lee, if you somehow pick up my transmissions, you're doing good work. Keep that beacon of hope alive, and remember to broadcast your location details frequently so others can find you. For anyone near Alaska or northern Canada, if you can confirm the roads near the border are even passable, let me know. I might consider heading that way eventually. Stay safe, survivors. I'll be back midday. It's around 12:30. The day feels strangely calm. I haven't heard or seen infected since yesterday. Either they're further down the highway or they're lurking in buildings. Hard to say which is worse. I picked up a battered notebook in a deserted truck. The inside cover read, Corporal Diane Walsh, U.S. Army. Some entries detailed the final stand at Fort Wainwright. They tried to hold the base, but the infected rushed in faster than they could manage. The last page says, "We are evacuating. If you find this, remember us." Corporal Walsh, if you or your squad are still out there, your words have been heard. I'm holding on to this notebook. If we ever rebuild, stories like yours will help us remember what happened. On a logistical note, I'm rationing my generator fuel. I only run it a few hours a day now. Most of the time I rely on the trailer's battery bank, which is recharged by solar panels, though the sun is limited in winter. If you have a generator, consider learning basic maintenance, changing the oil, cleaning filters, checking spark plugs. It can extend its life in these extreme conditions. I'll sign off now. Next broadcast will be evening. It's 2010 local time. I've begun to realize how quiet everything gets at night, except for the wind. No more traffic, no more city noise. Just the hush of the wilderness. It's surreal. I fortified the trailer today, boarding up windows and creating a small barricade near the entrance. Not sure if it'll help, but it might slow down any potential break-ins. I also rigged a tripwire of cans outside, makeshift alarm. No luck contacting that nurse from Fairbanks Memorial again. Maybe she moved on or lost power. I keep listening for her signal, though. To anyone who has technical questions about radios, I recommend scouring libraries or old electronics shops. Technical manuals can guide you on building antennas or fixing shortwave sets. Basic electronics knowledge can be the difference between isolation and connection. Time to go dark for the night. If you're out there, hold on one more day. Day 5 since the satellites went down. Or about that. It's 6:10. I woke to the sound of a distant explosion around 5 o'clock. Could have been a propane tank, or a vehicle's fuel tank blowing up. I didn't see the source, just heard the echo. If someone caused that intentionally, I hope they're all right. I also tried scanning the frequencies for any sign of the Coast Guard. Sometimes old cutters or patrol boats might still be out there in the Gulf of Alaska. Early on, we heard rumors a few ships were picking up survivors, but so far I've caught only random static and fragmented transmissions. I'm going to attempt a short supply run today, maybe check the next rest stop down the highway. I'll broadcast midday with an update if I make it back in one piece. Stay warm, stay vigilant. Andrew Cole out. It's 12:40 local time. I'm back from my supply run and have both good and bad news. Bad news first. The rest stop I visited was mostly stripped. Someone had already taken the propane tanks, the first aid kit, and just about everything else of value. I did find a couple of half-frozen water bottles, so that's something. Good news, I spotted fresh tracks in the snow. Footprints plus tire marks from a wagon or small cart. That means survivors are actively moving around here. If they're organized enough to haul supplies, maybe they'll be open to contact. I left a note pinned under a rock near the main doorway. I also want to mention I still hear faint chatter from Jeff Lee in British Columbia. He's urging survivors to consolidate near his logging camp. He claims they have a stable source of water from a nearby creek. If I had an easy route there, I might consider going. But for now, Alaska is where I am. Time to rest a bit and see if I can rummage for more generator fuel. 22 o'clock local time, another day in the books, I suppose. I've been thinking a lot about how quickly everything fell apart. Hard to believe that just a few weeks ago we had normalcy, electric lights, phone lines, grocery stores. Now, it feels like a different planet. To keep my mind busy, I've been reading the notebook from Corporal Walsh. She mentioned a friend, Private Mark Halloway, who lost contact with his family in Palmer. She wrote about how they'd hoped to reunite after the outbreak, but it never happened. Stories like that are everywhere. Families split, loved ones missing. It's heartbreaking. If you're listening and have a similar story, know that you're not alone in that grief. We're all carrying losses. Sometimes sharing them can lighten the load, if only a little. I'm signing off for the night. The wind is picking up, and I'd rather not draw attention with the generator hum. Stay safe. Andrew Cole, out. Day 6. Time is 5:55. The wind outside is fierce, and snow is blowing sideways. That means potential whiteout conditions if you're traveling. Please, if you're on the roads, drive slowly, watch for drifts, and keep an eye out for any movement. About an hour ago, I caught a partial message from someone calling themselves Miller near Dawson City in the Yukon. They asked about it. It's a secure route from there to Fairbanks. Miller, if you can hear me, I don't know of any guaranteed safe path. The roads are jammed with wrecks and infected roam at random. If you must come this way, bring enough fuel, supplies, and a plan for blockages. Be prepared to abandon your vehicle if needed. I'd love to say I have a handle on this region, but the truth is we're scattered. Without reliable comms or a central authority, each group is on its own. That's why I keep broadcasting. Maybe, just maybe, we can form a network. I'll update again midday. 12:10 local time. The weather is brutal right now. Heavy gusts, thick snowfall. If you're holed up somewhere warm, stay put. Travel only if necessary. I ventured out briefly to gather more wood for a small wood-burning stove I found in a nearby cabin. Chopped some logs, nearly lost my footing on the ice. I'm no expert lumberjack, but I'm learning fast. A few bruises are better than freezing. No new transmissions from the nurse at Fairbanks Memorial, or from the pair I saw near the highway. If you're listening, I hope you're keeping warm. I'd still welcome company here, if you're in range. People keep asking. Well, I imagine they do. Why do I bother broadcasting when so few reply? Because hope is worth something, maybe even everything. That's it for midday. Check back tonight. Andrew Cole, signing off. 22:20 local time, day 6. I just heard a disturbing sound about an hour ago. Some kind of scream echoing through the wind, far off, possibly near the highway. It didn't last long. I couldn't see anything in the dark. Could have been an animal, or something else. Times like this, I wish I had more than just a single vantage point. I've decided to prepare for a possible relocation. The trailer is workable, but supplies around here are dwindling, and I keep getting the sense that staying put might not be sustainable. My plan is to check the route south toward Glenallen in a day or two. That's where highways 1 and 4 meet, possibly giving me options to reach the coast or head east toward Canada. I'll keep broadcasting updates on the road if I can maintain a power source for my gear. If you're out there with a functioning vehicle, we might cross paths. You'll know it's me if you hear the same voice on these frequencies. Signing off for the night. Andrew Cole, out. Day 7, 6:05 local. 1 full week since the last satellite feed. Feels like an eternity. I just received a faint shortwave message claiming a Coast Guard cutter is still afloat somewhere near Kodiak Island. The signal was garbled, but I heard Kodiak and still afloat clearly. If that's real, it's a big deal. Water transport might be one of the last reliable ways to move around. But reaching Kodiak from interior Alaska is easier said than done, especially in winter. I'll run a final check on the trailer systems today and possibly move out by tomorrow. That's the plan anyway. If conditions look too rough, I might wait an extra day. As always, keep listening, keep hoping. Andrew Cole, out. Hello. It's about 12:20 local. I'm broadcasting on a handheld mic as I step outside to check my surroundings. The sky is clearer now, and the snowfall has let up. It's actually quite beautiful out here, if I ignore the circumstances. I want to read something from Corporal Walsh's notebook. She wrote, "They came at dawn, in numbers we never expected. Our lines held for only an hour before we had to retreat. Everyone's on their own now, but we'll try to regroup at a rally point near the main gate. It's sobering to think about how bravely some folks fought to contain the outbreak. The big question remains, could any stronghold still exist? If you're in a functioning stronghold, do the world a favor. Broadcast your location, your rules, your capacity. People need somewhere to go. If not, we'll all keep wandering in the dark. I'll be here a few more hours. Then I need to finalize the trailer for departure tomorrow. Andrew Cole, over and out. 22 o'clock local time, day 7. This will be my final night in this trailer, assuming nothing stops me. Tomorrow morning I plan to pack my truck and head toward Fort Greely, then Glenallen. I'll be cautious. The roads could be blocked and the infected might be lurking. But staying here forever isn't an option. To help any future survivors who might stumble upon this place, I've set up a recorded loop that will run as long as the solar panels and minimal generator fuel last. The loop gives my starting coordinates, instructions to check the radio for local signals, and a note that I've moved on. I want to say this to anyone listening. If we don't connect again, remember that you're part of something bigger, this global story of survival. We may be scattered, but we endure. The infected took our old world away, but they haven't taken our humanity unless we let them. This is Specialist Andrew Cole, signing off from the trailer for the last time. With luck, we'll speak again on the road. Stay alive. Over and out. This is Andrew Cole, broadcasting while mobile. It's roughly 7 o'clock. I'm driving my old Ford F-150 heading southeast on the Richardson Highway. The roads are icy with plenty of abandoned vehicles. So far, no major blockages, but it's slow going. I see evidence of past conflicts, burned out cars, bullet casings on the pavement, scattered debris. No sign of infected yet. That might mean they've migrated elsewhere or are holed up in large structures. If you're traveling this route, watch out for black ice on the bridges. Also keep an eye open for potential salvage opportunities, though I must caution you, always check a vehicle thoroughly before opening doors. You don't want an unwelcome surprise inside. I'll try to broadcast again around midday if I can safely pull over. Andrew Cole, out. It's 12:40. I pulled over near a place called Birch Lake. Frozen over now, of course. The area seems deserted. I did see a sign for a campground might be worth exploring if I need a place to rest. But for now, I'm pressing on toward Fort Greely. It's still about 40 miles away. I tried scanning the channels for any Fort Greely signals. No response. Doesn't necessarily mean it's deserted. But I'm preparing for the worst. If you're from Fort Greely and can hear me, please respond. I'm friendly. Before I left the trailer, I topped off my ammo, about 120 rounds for the M4, 30 for the Beretta, and a handful for the hunting rifle. Not a lot, but it's something. I'll continue onward and broadcast again in the evening, assuming I find a spot to safely stop. Andrew Cole, out. 22 o'clock so, I'm pulled over on the side of the highway, maybe 10 miles out from Fort Greely. I can see distant lights, or maybe reflections, hard to tell in the dark. Could be generator power at the base, or just leftover security lights running on solar. I'll find out tomorrow. So far, no serious trouble. The roads had some obstructions. Abandoned cars, but I managed to navigate around them. I've only glimpsed 2 infected, far off near the tree line. They didn't seem to notice me. The temperature is around -12 Fahrenheit, which might be slowing them down. If you're traveling at night, do it with caution. Visibility is poor, black ice is everywhere, and your vehicle's engine noise could draw attention. I'll sign off for now, get a few hours of rest in the truck, and then approach Fort Greely at first light. Andrew Cole, out. Day 9, around 6:30 local time. I've reached the outer perimeter of Fort Greely. The main gate is open. Looks like it was forced. No guards, no vehicles, just empty guard towers. I'm going to drive in slowly and see if there's anyone or anything left. For those unaware, Fort Greely is a small installation focused on missile defense tests. It's not huge. Typically, you'd expect a decent security force here, but the place appears deserted so far. I'll keep my sidearm handy and move carefully. If there's a functioning radio or a stash of supplies, I'll find it. If the infected are inside, I'll have to retreat fast. Stay tuned. I'll update once I scout around. It's 12:15 local. I'm inside Fort Greely, broadcasting from what looks like a half-operational communications room. The power is intermittent, flickering lights. Some backup generator must still be running, at least partially. The base is in bad shape. Doors busted open. Evidence of fighting in the corridors. Bullet holes in walls, broken glass. No sign of living personnel yet. I did find a small radio log indicating that the last known transmissions went out about 10 days ago, urging local civilians to rally here. Clearly, that didn't end well. No sign of infected here so far, which is suspicious. They could be deeper in the complex. I'm armed and proceeding with caution. I might try to salvage any medical supplies, MREs, or additional weapons if possible. I'll broadcast again before sundown. 22 o'clock local. I've secured a small office in the communications wing, managed to barricade the door, found a cot and some rations, better than sleeping in my truck. No sign of other survivors or infected inside the base. It's eerily empty. I did come across an underground storage area with some boxes labeled emergency provisions. Opened one, found MREs, water purification tablets, and a few medical kits. Exactly what I needed. I'm set for a while. I also discovered a backup generator that's running dangerously low on fuel. It could give out at any moment, plunging everything into darkness. There's a large fuel tank outside, but the pump is offline. If I can power that pump, I might refill the generator. But that might take me days to figure out. For tonight, I'll stay put in this barricaded office. If you're picking this up, Know that Fort Greely has at least some supplies, though it's far from secure. Travel carefully if you come this way. Good night, survivors. Day 10. Time is 6:25. I woke up to a flicker of overhead lights. The generator is sputtering. No telling how long it'll last. I'm going to try to locate the control room for the fuel system. If I can manually pump diesel, I might keep this place running a bit longer. No infected sightings yet, which is unnerving. It's possible they all left or were wiped out, but I refuse to let my guard down. If anyone's hearing me from the local area, I could use help. Fort Greely's perimeter might be defendable with enough people, but I can't do it alone. I'll head out now and attempt to restore partial power. Andrew Cole, out. 12:40 local. Progress. I managed to find the fuel pump controls in a maintenance room. The electronics are fried, but I jerry-rigged a hand crank mechanism, filled the few containers with diesel and topped off the generator's reserve tank. Power should hold for another day or two if I'm careful. I also discovered a battered laptop in an office. Naturally, it's offline, but I rummaged through old documents, found references to an evacuation order from higher command that never got fully implemented because the infected overran the base. Soldiers here fought bravely, but it seems they had to retreat or worse. I'm starting to think I might stay here a bit longer, at least to rest and regroup. The base has sturdy walls, a fence line, and some internal resources. If I could find a few other survivors, we could make this a small safe zone. For now, I'll keep scanning. Jeff Lee in BC, Miller in the Yukon. If you hear this, Fort Greely might be an option, though I can't promise it's truly secure. Andrew Cole, signing off. 22:15 local. Good news, I found a small stash of medical supplies, mostly gauze, antiseptics, a few pain relievers. Better than nothing. No advanced medications, though. I also explored a bit of the underground bunkers. Strange to say, but it felt oddly safer down there. Thick concrete walls, sealed doors. Makes me wonder if a portion of the staff or soldiers holed up there until food ran out. I saw signs of ration packs and blankets. No bodies, though. Maybe they evacuated. Let's do a quick world status recap from the scraps of info I've gathered. Canada fragmented. Some pockets of survivors in remote logging camps, small towns, or northern outposts. U.S. East Coast rumors indicate large-scale collapse. The West Coast is mostly silent. Alaska remains isolated. Overseas, occasional shortwave chatter in various languages, but nothing sustained. Europe, Asia, Africa. No definitive updates. Oceania. Some early transmissions mentioned attempts at quarantining entire regions. No recent word. That's it for tonight. Another day, another chance to survive. Andrew Cole, out. Day 11, 6:10. Still at Fort Greely. The generator is holding steady thanks to my hand crank fueling method. Sleep was uneasy last night. Every clank in the distance made me jump. I'll spend the morning checking the fence line around the base. If I can patch holes or reinforce it, I might keep out wandering infected. Then I'll see about rummaging for more rations in the mess hall area. To any listeners, keep a watchful eye for potential meltdown hazards. Some folks have mentioned concerns about old nuclear plants or power stations. I don't have info on that, but if you're near one, treat it with caution. Without maintenance, things can go awry. Check in again midday. Time is 12:25. I've been patrolling the outer fence. Found a large breach near the south side. Looks like someone cut through it with power tools at some point. I've done a rudimentary fix with chain link scraps, but it won't hold against a large group of infected. For now, it's something. The base is huge to secure alone. I keep thinking, if there were a handful of survivors with me, 5, 10, maybe more, we could systematically clear each building, salvage resources, and have a defendable location. As it stands, I'm just one person. In the meantime, I discovered the base motor pool. There are a couple of Humvees and a larger truck. If I can find the keys and they still run, that might improve mobility. Also found a crate marked munitions locked. I'll see if I can break in carefully, though I'd prefer not to risk damaging potential supplies. Signing off now. Next broadcast tonight. 22 o'clock local. Progress report. I managed to open that locked crate with a crowbar. Inside were some rifle magazines, a few grenades, and spare parts for an M4. Good haul, though I have to be extremely careful with explosives. No new transmissions from the outside world. I keep cycling through frequencies, hearing mostly static. There was a tiny blip earlier. Someone shouting in the distance on a random band, but it faded. Could have been skip propagation from thousands of miles away. I feel the loneliness more acutely now. This base, once bustling with soldiers and staff, stands empty. The echoes of my own footsteps follow me. But I'm alive, and that's a gift. If you're alone out there, know that it's not just you feeling isolated. We're each small beacons in the darkness. I'll rest now. Tomorrow I might try to see if the motor pool vehicles can run. Andrew Cole, signing off. Day 12, 6:15. Still at Fort Greely. Last night was quiet, no sign of infected around the perimeter. I'm heading to the motor pool after this broadcast to see if any of the vehicles can start. Might require new batteries, or at least a jump. I realize some folks might be wondering, why don't you stay put with all these supplies? My answer is, this base is too large to secure alone, and resources won't last forever. If I can load up a reliable military truck, I might be able to travel to more populated areas, or at least areas rumored to have survivors. If you're near Glen Tuck, or anywhere along the highways in interior Alaska, keep an ear out for me. I might pass through. Andrew Cole, out. 12:50 local. Good news, I got one of the Humvees to start. The battery was nearly dead, but I managed to jump it using a generator rig. It runs, though I can't speak to its reliability long term. Fuel gauge shows a half tank. I'll see if I can siphon more from the other vehicles. I also found a small satellite dish on a trailer here, but it's useless without functioning satellites. Just a reminder of how advanced our technology was, and how quickly it went dark. I'm thinking I'll load the Humvee with weapons rations and medical kits, then head out tomorrow or the next day. I want to check one more area of the base, maybe the officer housing, to see if anything else is salvageable. I'll be on again tonight. Andrew Cole, out. 22 o'clock local. I took a look at the officer housing, found some personal effects, family photos left behind. It's sobering. These were people with lives, families, routines. Now, just emptiness and memories. On a brighter note, I discovered 2 large canisters of diesel in a storage shed. That should help me travel further once I leave. I might head toward Glen Allen, then see if the route to Anchorage is at all feasible. Rumor says Anchorage is a lost cause, but maybe there are pockets of survivors. I also tried contacting Jeff Lee in BC again. No luck. Possibly atmospheric conditions, or maybe he's offline. If anyone in that region can confirm he's still there, do so. Time to turn in. Another day gone. Day 13, 6:10. This is Specialist Andrew Cole. I'm about to depart Fort Greely in a Humvee loaded with supplies. I'm heading south, aiming for Glen Allen first. Then I'll decide if I go east toward Canada or west toward Anchorage. Fort Greely was a lifeline for the past few days. I gathered food, ammo, medical gear, and some sense of stability. But it's time to move on. If any other survivors find this place, there are some supplies left in Building 230, Communications Wing. The generator might be salvageable if you can keep refueling it. Wish me luck. I'll broadcast midday from the road if all goes well. Andrew Cole, out. 12:30 local time. I'm on the Richardson Highway heading toward the junction with the Glen Highway. Road conditions are poor. Ice, snowdrifts, several abandoned semis blocking partial lanes. I did encounter one, infected on the shoulder, staggering in the snow. It turned toward me, but I drove on. No need to engage unless absolutely necessary. Ammo is precious. If you're traveling, be prepared to move vehicles out of the way or navigate around them. Bring a winch or tow chain if you have it. I'll push on and try to reach Glen Allen by early evening. 22:05 local. I've arrived near Glen Allen, found a closed gas station on the outskirts. The lights are off, obviously, but I see no immediate signs of infected. I'm parked behind the building, trying to stay hidden. I scouted the inside. There's some leftover canned goods, a few bottles of water, and even a tiny generator. The place looks like it was ransacked but not fully cleaned out. I'll rest here tonight, then explore the town in daylight. Maybe somebody's here. I haven't heard any transmissions from Anchorage or anywhere south. If you're in this region, let me know. We could rendezvous. We stand a better chance together. Good night, everyone. Andrew Cole, signing off. Day 14, 6:20 local. Morning from Glen Ellen. This town is small, about a few hundred residents in normal times. Unsure how many might still be here. I'll search for signs of life. Maybe a local radio station or the Copper River EMS building. If I can find a working radio tower, I could boost my signal. Also, the main intersection, the junction of the highways 1 and 4, might have a local diner or store. I'll check for supplies. I'll report back midday. If you're listening and near Glen Ellen, I'm friendly. Maybe we can team up. Andrew Cole, out. 12:15 local, broadcasting from what seems to be a community center in Glen Ellen. The door was unlocked. Inside, I found scattered chairs, a few pamphlets about local events from weeks ago, and a small first aid station. The power's out. No signs of people. I also checked a radio station building near the main road. Call letters long faded. The station equipment was trashed, possibly looted. No chance of broadcasting from there. No infected sightings yet, which could mean they've passed through or are hiding. This constant sense of uncertainty is draining, but I keep going. That's all we can do. 22:10 local. I'm set up in an abandoned cabin just outside Glen Ellen. Found a modest stash of firewood, so I've got heat without burning precious fuel. I rigged a small battery to power this broadcast. Reflections. 2 weeks since the satellites vanished? Longer since the outbreak began? Our old world feels distant, like a dream. I cling to each new day as proof that we can persist. I might travel further tomorrow. Maybe try the road toward Valdez on the coast. People used to say smaller port towns could serve as evacuation points. That might be outdated info, but it's worth checking. If that fails, I could aim east toward Canada. See if I can link up with Jeff Lee's rumored camp in BC. Below is a direct continuation of specialist Andrew Cole's radio broadcast chronicle. We pick up immediately after day 14 and continue through day 25, maintaining the same first-person radio broadcast style, realistic details, and overall tone. All times, places, and events are presented as Andrew Cole's ongoing transmissions. Enjoy this extended narrative of survival and hope. Good morning, survivors. Day 15 since the final satellite feeds died, or close to it. Time's about 6:10 local. I'm still in Glen Ellen, Alaska, in a small abandoned cabin on the town's outskirts. The snow outside is piled high, but at least there's enough firewood to keep a decent temperature indoors. I spent last night in relative peace, no sign of infected, no sudden noises. It's unusual, but I won't question good fortune. Today I'll search for any radio towers or repeaters in town. Maybe I can boost my signal and figure out if anyone else is active in the region. If you're near Glen Ellen or traveling along the Glen Highway, Highway 1, keep your radio on. I'll be scanning the common emergency frequencies. I'll broadcast again midday. If I find anything noteworthy, I'll pass it on. Stay safe out there. Andrew Cole, signing off. Time is 12:20 local. I've been moving through Glen Ellen, checking buildings for survivors or leftover supplies. It's eerily quiet, like the town just emptied out one day and never came back. The roads here meet in a big crossroads, which once saw a fair bit of traffic. Now it's mostly abandoned vehicles, a few of them partially buried in snowdrifts. I found a small utility shed behind the old community clinic. Inside were some oxygen tanks, bandages, and a half-empty box of syringes. I took what I could carry, never know when it might come in handy. No advanced meds, though. No new radio signals so far, just static. I saw a tall tower on the west side of town, but it seems collapsed at the midpoint, probably from high winds or lack of maintenance. Repairing it alone might be impossible. I'm going to keep scavenging and then return to the cabin before dark. If you're in the area and you pick up this transmission, I'm open to teaming up. Andrew Cole, out. 22:05 local. I'm settled back in the cabin. Snow's coming down outside. Nothing too heavy yet, but it's picking up. If it turns into a full storm, traveling tomorrow might be tricky. I found an old map pinned to a corkboard in the community center. It shows local roads, fire service routes, and a few old logging or mining trails branching off the highways. Could be alternate routes if the main roads are blocked. I made some notes in case I need to skirt around big groups of infected. The question is, which direction do I go next? West toward Anchorage, which might be overrun, or southeast toward Valdez and the coast, or maybe east toward Canada, possibly connecting with that rumored logging camp or other pockets of survivors. Tough call. I'll think on it tonight. That's all for day 15. Wishing you a warm fire and quiet night wherever you are. Andrew Cole signing off. Morning, everyone. Day 16, about 6:15 local. The snowstorm eased overnight, so I might have a travel window if I decide to move. The Humvee I salvaged back at Fort Greely is still running, but I've got to watch the fuel gauge. Winter conditions can guzzle it fast. I spent half the night debating directions. Anchorage used to be the largest city in Alaska, but the outbreak hit it hard. Then again, Valdez is a port town, maybe a small chance of ships or boats left, and going east toward Canada might put me on track to find that group in British Columbia led by Jeff Lee, if they're still around. For now, I'm leaning toward Valdez Port. Sometimes draw survivors looking to escape by sea. If that's a dead end, I'll pivot back north or east. I'll decide by midday. Andrew Cole, out. 12:10 local. I've made my decision. I'm heading south to Valdez on the Richardson Highway. It's about 120 miles from here. I'll have to watch for avalanche zones along the Thompson Pass area, and also keep an eye out for infected wandering the highway. Before I set off, I'm topping off the Humvee with extra diesel from a stash I found behind the gas station. If I'm lucky, it'll be enough to get me there and back, or to wherever I choose next. Traveling alone is risky, but staying put doesn't feel viable with limited supplies. If you're listening and happen to be near Valdez, please respond. I'm scanning all standard emergency channels, AM, FM, shortwave, CB. Any sign of life would be welcome. I'll do an evening broadcast from the road if conditions allow. Andrew Cole, out. 22:05 local, coming to you from the Humvee. I'm about halfway to Valdez near the Thompson Pass area. The mountain scenery is breathtaking. Jagged peaks, snow-blanketed cliffs, but it's also treacherous. One wrong turn, and I could slide off the road. I passed an overturned semi a few miles back, with fresh footprints in the snow around it. Human footprints, not infected from what I could tell, makes me think survivors might be traveling on foot. If that was you, I hope you're well. No direct encounters with infected so far, but I remain on guard. This pass can funnel wind gusts and blow snow onto the road, so I'm driving slow and steady. I'll find a place to pull over soon, maybe an old turnout, and bunk in the vehicle. Broadcasting again tomorrow if all goes well. Andrew Cole, signing off. Day 17, around 6:30. I slept in the Humvee near a small rest area. The night was cold but peaceful. No disturbances. I'm continuing on to Valdez shortly. I figure I've got 60 miles left, depending on road conditions. The pass ahead might get steep. If it's iced over, I'll need to chain the tires. If I can't proceed, I may have to park and continue on foot. Not ideal, but I won't risk sliding into a ravine. If I go on foot, I'll carry only the essentials. M4, Beretta, a small pack of supplies. I'll broadcast midday with an update, hopefully from closer to the coast. Wish me luck. Andrew Cole, out. 12:45 local. I'm about 15 miles from Valdez. The road's in rough shape, with sections collapsed or partially eroded. I had to detour around a big rock slide. The Humvee's four-wheel drive is holding up, but it's slow going. I passed a small roadside motel and checked a couple of rooms. Mostly empty, but I found a working kerosene lantern and a half box of matches. It's the little things that help, you know? No major infected sightings, but I did see a large stain in the snow near an abandoned sedan. Hard to say what happened, maybe wildlife or an old altercation. I'm moving on. If Valdez is anything like Glen Allen, empty but intact, I might hole up for a few days. See if the port has any leads. I'll do an evening broadcast once I arrive. 22:15 local. I'm officially in Valdez, or what's left of it. The city is small, built around the port and the ferry terminal. At first glance, it seems abandoned. No lights, no signs of immediate activity, but it's not destroyed like a war zone, more like folks left in a hurry. I parked the Humvee near the old small boat harbor. There are a few vessels still moored, fishing boats, a couple of personal sailboats. Hard to see if any are seaworthy in this weather. If someone was using them, they might be long gone. I'll explore tomorrow in daylight. For now, I found a little harbor master's office that's easy to secure. If you're in Valdez, or if you once called in from a Coast Guard cutter off Kodiak Island, maybe you can tune in. I'm scanning all frequencies. This is Specialist Andrew Cole signing off from Valdez for Day 17. Stay warm. Day 18, about 6:10. Morning from the Valdez Harbor area. The night was quiet except for the wind off the water. I'm going to spend today checking the docks, the ferry terminal, and any local shops for supplies. The big question: are any boats here operational? If so, do I have enough diesel or marine fuel to run one? The idea of sailing away might be appealing, but the ocean's vast, and in winter seas can be deadly. Plus, who knows how far the infection reached overseas. If you're listening from another port or coastal town, Cordova, Seward, Homer, let me know your status. We might coordinate. For now, I'll focus on searching Valdez. Broadcast again midday. Andrew Cole, out. 12:35 local. I've been wandering the Valdez docks all morning. I spotted a 32-foot fishing boat that looks in decent shape, but the key's missing and I'm not sure how to hotwire a marine engine safely. Another boat, a small sailboat, had an engine compartment flooded with seawater. Useless unless I do serious repairs. On the bright side, I checked some harbor storage sheds, found a few sealed crates with emergency flares, some freeze-dried food, and a bit of first aid gear. This town had a thriving fishing industry once, so it makes sense I'd find maritime supplies. No sign of survivors or infected. Just seagulls picking at scraps. The emptiness is eerie, but at least there's no immediate threat. I'll keep looking around, maybe see if the local ferry terminal offices have anything that could help me get a boat running. Next broadcast tonight, Andrew Cole, out. 22 o'clock local. I'm back in the harbor master's office sorting through what I found today. The ferry terminal was mostly locked up, but I broke into an admin area and accessed a maintenance closet. Nothing too exciting. Just some tools, rope, and a half-empty gas can. Still, every little bit helps. The big question is, do I stay in Valdez or do I move on? A boat could be a ticket out of here, but without mechanical knowledge, it's a gamble. Going back inland means braving those roads again. Or I could attempt to push west to Anchorage via the Seward Highway, but that's a long loop around the coast. I'll sleep on it and decide tomorrow. If you're out there near Valdez, now's the time to speak up. Andrew Cole signing off for Day 18. Day 19, 6:05. The temperature is dropping again. I see a layer of ice forming on the docks. I tested the fishing boat's fuel line earlier, some water contamination, but not catastrophic. If I knew more about marine engines, I might attempt a fix. But a poorly maintained boat in the Gulf of Alaska during winter, that's risky. I'm leaning toward heading back inland, maybe driving north again and then swinging west, attempting the road toward Anchorage. I know it's a risk, but the city might still have survivors. Maybe the Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson had pockets of military or National Guard personnel who regrouped. I'll confirm midday. For now, I'll do a final sweep of Valdez's shops and residences. Andrew Cole, out. 12:45 local. After rummaging around some local stores, I've decided I'm leaving Valdez. The port is deserted, and while there might be a chance to fix a boat, it's beyond my expertise. Plus, winter seas are unforgiving. Better to attempt Anchorage by land. I found a small stash of bottled water and a few more cans of food. Enough to last me a week if I'm careful. The Humvee is still parked near the harbor, gassed up with leftover diesel. I'll head out tomorrow morning. The route will likely take me around the Richardson Highway, then onto the Glen Highway going west. I'll do an evening broadcast before I depart. If you're listening from Anchorage or anywhere along the route, give me a sign. Andrew Cole, out. 22:05 local. Last night in Valdez, I'm finishing repairs on the Humvee's battery connections. They corroded a bit in the salty air. With luck, it'll start in the morning without issues. The cold can be brutal on vehicle batteries. The harbor's silence has me on edge. I keep expecting infected to appear, but it's just wind and the distant creak of boat masts. Maybe they passed through here a long time ago. Maybe they froze or starved, if that's even possible for them. Anyway, tomorrow I'll be on the road by first light. Stay safe, survivors. Andrew Cole, signing off from Valdez for the last time. It's day 20. Around 6:20, I'm in the Humvee. Just leaving Valdez, road conditions might be dicey, so I'm going slow. Once I reconnect with the Richardson Highway, I'll head north, then aim west for Anchorage. It's a long drive, but I'll broadcast midday and evening if the generator in the Humvee can power my radio gear. If you're along that route, say near the Matanuska-Susitna Valley, I'd love to hear from you. There's been near total radio silence aside from the faint calls I once heard from British Columbia. Maybe I'll catch something closer to Anchorage. Wish me luck. Andrew Cole, out. 12:35 local. Made it about halfway back to the Glen Allen area. The roads are familiar. Saw the same overturned semi near Thompson Pass. Still no trace of whoever left footprints around it. Maybe they moved on or found a different path. One difference, I spotted fresh tire tracks near a small side road. Possibly recent since last night's snowfall was light. That means someone else is driving around these parts. If that's you, consider responding on the emergency channels. We don't have to meet if you're wary, but it'd be nice to know I'm not the only one still mobile out here. I'll keep pushing north, then west. Andrew Cole, out. 2210 local. I'm back near Glen Allen, the same cabin area I used before. No sign of new visitors. Tomorrow I'll take the Glen Highway west. That should lead me toward Palmer and eventually Anchorage. On the old maps, it's about 180 miles or so from Glen Allen to Anchorage. If Anchorage is truly overrun, I'll adapt. Maybe I'll skirt around it or check for smaller towns like Wasilla or Eagle River. But a city the size of Anchorage might still hold pockets of survivors. Maybe at the Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson. Or maybe somewhere else. If no one's there, I can always backtrack. Fuel is my biggest concern. Another day done. Andrew Cole, signing off from the Glen Allen area. Day 21, 6:25. Setting off on the Glen Highway heading west. I'm expecting mountainous sections, winding roads, and potential ice patches. If you're traveling behind me, watch for places where avalanches or rock slides might have blocked the lanes. And I keep hoping for a breakthrough in communications. Someone stable in Anchorage or Wasilla, or a local radio tower with a live operator. So far, just static. Maybe that changes today. I'll do midday and evening broadcasts if I have the chance. Andrew Cole, out. 12:50 local. Stopped near a small gas station about 80 miles west of Glen Allen. It's signposted as part of the old Tok Cutoff Junction, though that's not exactly where I want to go. The place is in shambles. Windows busted, shelves empty. I found a dusty battery-powered radio behind the counter that had some local station's music cassette jammed in it. Surreal to hear a snippet of a song from the old world. I siphoned a bit of fuel from a battered SUV out back, maybe a couple gallons. Every bit counts. I haven't encountered infected all morning. Either they're further down the road or I'm just lucky. Continuing west. Hoping to reach the Matanuska Valley region by evening. Andrew Cole, out. 22:15 local. I've reached the Matanuska Valley area, specifically a stretch of highway near the Matanuska River. The place is known for its glacier and scenic views, but right now, it's dark and silent. I'm pulled off the road at a wide shoulder, preparing to camp in the Humvee again. I passed a collapsed bridge a few miles back. Had to detour onto a small local route that crosses the river at a narrower point. The Humvee managed, but it was tense. If you're following me, be mindful that main routes might be impassable. Anchorage is maybe 60, 70 miles away now. I'll push on tomorrow. Andrew Cole, signing off. Day 22, 6:20. Almost there. Palmer is about 20 miles to the west. I remember from pre-outbreak days that Palmer and Wasilla were bedroom communities for Anchorage. If the outbreak hit Anchorage hard, these towns might have seen a surge of refugees or infected early on. I'll proceed cautiously. If infected are around, they could be in bigger numbers. Urban areas are risky. But I want to see if Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson, JBUR, is still active in any capacity. My old chain of command might have retreated there before losing contact. I'll check in midday. Wish me luck. Andrew Cole, out. 12:25 local. I've reached the outskirts of Palmer. Lots of abandoned cars, some with bullet holes. A few buildings show signs of fire damage. It's not a complete ruin, but it's clear there was a chaos here. I spotted 2 infected wandering near a supermarket lot. First I've seen in days. They moved slowly. Perhaps the cold or advanced decomposition is taking its toll, but I'm not counting on that. I skirted around them. No point in engaging if I can avoid it. I'm pushing farther west toward Wasilla this afternoon. That's about 10 miles from Palmer. Then Anchorage is another 40 or so from there. I'll keep you posted. Andrew Cole, out. 2210 local. Currently on the road between Palmer and Wasilla, I saw more signs of conflict. Barricades across the road, improvised walls made from wrecked vehicles. Possibly local residents tried to defend their neighborhood. Hard to tell if anyone remains. No direct contact yet. I'm going to find a spot to hide the Humvee overnight. Possibly an abandoned lot or behind a big commercial building. Don't want to sleep in an open field near a major roadway with infected around. I'll try to push into Anchorage tomorrow if I can get through Wasilla safely. Another day, another chance. Andrew Cole, signing off. Day 23, around 6:15 local. Waking up near Wasilla. Overnight, I heard faint gunfire in the distance. Only a handful of shots, then silence. Could be survivors defending themselves or something else. I considered investigating, but it was too dark and too risky. Anchorage is not far now. I'll pass through Wasilla's main drag, then connect to the Glen Highway leading into Anchorage. If the city is heavily infested, I'll have to turn around quickly. Still, I have to see if Yeber or any other group is there. I'll let you know midday what I find. Andrew Cole, out. 1250 local. I'm officially in the Anchorage area near the Muldoon Road exit on the Glen Highway. The city is, well, it's not swarming like I feared, but it's definitely not empty. I've already seen scattered infected. They move in small groups around abandoned commercial areas. Many buildings are boarded up. Some show evidence of forced entry, broken doors, shattered windows. I'm moving block by block in the Humvee, trying to avoid drawing attention with the engine noise. My plan is to attempt reaching Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson, which lies north of downtown Anchorage, accessible from the Glen Highway. If Jaber is silent or overrun, I'll retreat. I don't have enough ammo for a full-scale fight. Broadcasting again tonight. Andrew Cole, out. 2205 local. I made it to an outskirt checkpoint near Elmendorf-Richardson. The main gates are sealed shut with heavy barricades, razor wire, and a line of concrete barriers. I see no guards, no lights, no active watch. I decided to break into a small side building, an old security outpost, I think. I found some rations and a half-depleted medical kit. Power is off, but it's defensible for the night. If the base is occupied by infected, they might be inside the perimeter. If it's empty, I'll see if there's a way to get in tomorrow. No radio chatter on military frequencies, which doesn't bode well. Still, I'll give it a shot. Maybe part of the base remains sealed off from infected. Another day survived. Andrew Cole, signing off. Day 24, about 6:30. I scouted the exterior fence line of Jaber just before dawn, spotted a gap where the fence collapsed. Looks like a vehicle smashed through it long ago. I might slip in there. It's dangerous. If infected roam the base, I could be walking into a trap. But if there's any military hardware or supplies left, it could be worth it. I'm leaving the Humvee parked near this security outpost for a quick exit if needed. I'll carry my M4, minimal gear. If I can get in and out fast, that's ideal. I'll do a midday transmission if I manage to find a safe spot inside. Wish me luck. Andrew Cole, out. 1240 local. Inside Jaber now. Most buildings appear deserted. Some have broken windows, others are locked tight. I did see signs of a struggle, spent casings, dried marks that could indicate fighting. Not many remains, though. Maybe they buried them or evacuated them. I checked what I believe was a warehouse near a motor pool. Found a few crates of MREs, a small amount of 5.56 ammo. Nothing huge, but I'll take it. I haven't seen any infected yet, which is simultaneously relieving and alarming. Where did they go? I'll head toward the center of the base, see if I can access old comms. If that's a no-go, I'll retreat before dark. Andrew Cole, out. 2215 local. I made it to what looks like a command building. The doors were locked, but I forced entry. The interior is dusty, with papers scattered. No sign of personnel or infected. It's like they evacuated months ago. I found a communications room with outdated tech. The power's off, so no direct radio broadcast from here, but I did spot some logs referencing evacuation to Western Slope 10 Duxgex. Hard to read the date. Possibly they retreated further west in Anchorage or maybe toward the Kenai Peninsula. No luck on official signals. I'll gather what I can carry, more rations than any intel, and then head back to the Humvee tomorrow. Another big, empty stronghold. Such a shame. I'm bunking in an office tonight. It seems secure enough. Day 24 is done. Andrew Cole out. Day 25, 6:20. Morning inside Jaber. It's surreal walking these halls alone, knowing hundreds, maybe thousands of people used to serve here. The sense of emptiness echoes in every corridor. I'm heading back to the Humvee shortly. After that, I'll decide my next move. Maybe I'll follow any lead about a western slope evacuation. That could mean the western side of Anchorage, or it might mean the Kenai Peninsula across the inlet. Hard to decipher. I'll check in midday, 12:50 local. I'm back at the security outpost, reunited with the Humvee. Packed it with the MREs and a modest stash of ammo from the base. I've been monitoring local frequencies, but still nothing. Anchorage seems largely silent except for scattered infected. Now I'm thinking, do I attempt to cross into the Kenai Peninsula by going around the Turn-Again Arm route? The Seward Highway might be blocked or crawling with infected. Or do I just keep traveling? Maybe circle back to the interior, try Canada once more. I'm not sure. This city is too big for one person to search thoroughly. Maybe I'll do a brief recon of southwestern Anchorage, see if western slope means something local. If it's a bust, I'll move on. Next broadcast tonight, Andrew Cole, out. 22:15 local, day 25 since I began this extended log, nearly 4 weeks since the satellites vanished. I'm parked on an elevated spot near Kincaid Park at the western edge of Anchorage, looking out over the city lights. Or, rather, the lack of lights. Darkness everywhere, just the faint glow of moonlight reflecting off the inlet. I did a small patrol around southwestern Anchorage, saw a few more infected here. Maybe a dozen overall, spread out. No sign of an organized western slope camp. Could be I missed it, or maybe they moved on long ago. Without fresh leads, I'm uncertain what's next. I'll keep broadcasting as I travel. This life of constant motion, searching, surviving, may be lonely, but it's what we've got. If you're out there, tuning in from anywhere, know that you're not alone. We're scattered, but we persist. Tomorrow I might head south on the Seward Highway or double back to the interior. I'll figure it out in the morning. Until then, wherever you are, keep hope alive. Each sunrise is a small victory. This is Specialist Andrew Cole signing off for now. Stay safe and remember, we're still here.